You remember when I arrived in Brazil, right? Hey, I'm Caleb from Caleb's Aviation. Welcome back to the channel. For those of you who aren't aware, I've just arrived in Brazil off a long-haul flight from Atlanta with Delta. I then took about a 30-minute drive south to check out an aviation museum. I tried a coconut for the first time, spotted a Gull 737 MAX, and got ready to head back to São Paulo. First thing today was to get in the car. I spotted a double rainbow, and then sat in traffic on an international highway, heading out to the airport. This was by far the longest drive to an airport I've ever been on, and Brazil feels like a lot like Europe, with the road signs and crazy traffic. I mean, the traffic was just the stupidest thing. Someone please fix Brazil's traffic problems. Pretty soon we did arrive at the airport. I said goodbye to my new friends, found the check-in desks, dropped off my single bag for this long journey, and that brings us airside.
Hey, I'm Caleb from Caleb's Aviation. Welcome back to the channel. Right now I've come back to the São Paulo, whatever the name is that I'm not going to try to pronounce and put up there, São Paulo GRU International Airport. And tonight I'm flying back to the United States. Unfortunately, my time here in Brazil has come to an end. We're flying with Delta Airlines in an Airbus A330, and we're off to Atlanta in Comfort Plus. But first, we've got to go and check out the lounge, so we'll do that now.
The first thing to do today was to navigate the maze of São Paulo International Airport, passing through duty-free, and walking a very long distance. São Paulo Airport is massive, by the way, and I did get to spot several cool planes that I'd never seen before, like this Delta Airways A330, and this KLM Asia 777-200. Very cool. Also, I mentioned its size. São Paulo Airport is as big as Denver, the largest airport in the United States. It was crazy large, and I had no idea. But pretty soon, we headed upstairs to check out the lounge. This was the LATAM Lounge here in São Paulo Airport, and this was my first time ever visiting a lounge, which was super cool and very exciting in and of itself. Also, it's worth noting, my Comfort Plus ticket with Delta does not grant me lounge access. I had this access because of my aunt's high status with Delta Airlines, and I was her guest on a guest pass. Had I not had this access with my aunt, a one-time lounge pass for this lounge costs upwards of $100 US. Now, this lounge was pretty big, and had some food offerings as well, which were pretty good. However, I don't think it's worth $100 to enter here, no matter what you're flying. Now on to the food, my favorite part of the lounge. Unfortunately, all of it was pre-made, and I also have to give a shout out to Dennis Bunnick. I don't know how people film food without dropping their plates. I almost dropped my meal more times than I care to admit. There are lots of different fruits and other things on offering here this evening, including lots of different types of meat, and a lot of carbohydrates if you like those. However, I don't read Portuguese, so I'm not 100% sure what all I got. The food wasn't that great, but I guess it's better than nothing, and I was a happy man. There are also lots of drinks on offering here, including a coffee machine, hot water for tea, and this machine even made espressos and other latte-type drinks. I didn't personally try any, but they looked pretty good. There were also fruit juices in these containers. But by far my favorite part was the freshly squeezed orange juice from this machine, which looked straight out of the future. You put ice in your glass, you press down on this button, and out comes orange juice. But perhaps the best part, you can see the oranges being juiced by the machine. This machine rotates them around, and they get squeezed and make juice. Did you know it takes 10 to 12 full oranges to make 1 cup of orange juice? Really makes you think. And this is incredible that this machine exists. But I'm a simple man. And also another shout out to Dennis Bunnick. I almost dropped my orange juice trying to film that walking sequence. But perhaps more important than how it looked was how it tastes. Also, with it being a weekend, I had to catch up on the YouTube videos that are published on the weekend, including this one by Noel Phillips.
This week, my flight gets attacked by lasers. I set my sights on a replacement for my pickup truck. So cool. I need one of those in my life. And I ride on perhaps the smelliest plane I've ever been on. It has an aroma. It's a bit grim.
Anyway, that video was really great and is linked up above. Make sure to check it out. I also got this cringy thumbnail photo, which I never used, and realized I skipped dessert, and we can't have that. This dessert was some type of coconut pudding cake with mango seed and some other weird sauce on it. For someone who doesn't particularly like desserts, it was pretty good.
Well, here in the lounge and been hanging out and checking stuff out, and I met a new friend and a new subscriber to the channel. Wanted to say hi.
Hello, subscribe.
I then had to check out the bathroom before leaving, only to see the water, because we're in the southern hemisphere, and water drains the other way. Too cool.
Well, I've arrived here at the gate number 330 here at São Paulo Airport, out of 332. Only 332 gates in this airport, and I'm at 330. Also, gate 330, and my plane will be an Airbus A330. Have you ever taken a flight with the same gate number as the aircraft type operating it? Let me know. Anyway, left the lounge down here at my gate, getting ready to board pretty soon, off to Atlanta, back to the USA. Should be good. As fun as the lounge was, I'm very tired and ready to get on the plane. It's about time to go home. However, there's some bad weather up north in the US, so we'll see what happens. Also watching the departures here at the airport.
Yeah, I realize now you can't see anything, but I promise there's an A380 out there. We'll see it more later. I also saw this Atacama Desert ad for a place in Chile that I'd like to visit someday.
Thank you. Alright, we're off. Back to the US. Atlanta, here we come.
And another thing about a big airport like this, we got the nice practice of boarding, but not boarding. I also spotted this TAP Air Portugal A330-900 Neo in from Lisbon. Very cool, as I'd never seen one before. I also spotted the catering truck, my favorite thing next to any airplane, and more ads for credit cards in Portuguese. Luckily, since I don't read it, they don't work on me. I also caught a view of tonight's ride. I mean, don't you just love jet bridges with glass in them? I also spotted the moon way out there, dimly. Here's a much better view of our ride tonight. November 803 November Whiskey is a 20-year-old Airbus A330-300, previously owned and operated by Northwest Airlines. Talking Northwest, I also saw this 747 on the jet bridge ad. Did you know they were the launch customer of the 747-400? Also, here's the seat map on our Airbus A330-300 this evening, and as a reminder, I'm sitting in Comfort Plus. Unfortunately, by the time I got my seat, there were no windows left. I was stuck in an aisle. And there's that Emirates Airbus A380. My seat neighbor was polite enough to lean back and let me zoom out the window with my camera. So hopefully the footage is okay. As we pushed back and prepared to head to Atlanta. And I must apologize again, due to being in an aisle, there's no proper takeoff and landing footage. I'm sorry. Soon we were up in the air for our long nighttime flight back to Atlanta. Now that we're saying goodbye to Brazil, let's take a look at our route map this evening. We'll take off out of São Paulo Airport and reach our cruising altitude of 34,000 feet. We will also overfly Colombia, avoiding Venezuelan airspace due to legal requirements, fly over Cuba, find the southern tip of Florida, and descend into Atlanta, Georgia. Tonight's flight from São Paulo to Atlanta will take 9 hours and 10 minutes at 38,000 feet this evening. Once up in the air, I decided to explore my seat, including this remote for the in-flight entertainment for some reason. And, as a reminder, since I'm in a bulkhead and in an aisle, my screen pops out of the armrest here. I also apologize for the horrible footage quality, as it was very dark. The crew on this flight seemed very eager to get everyone to sleep, as there was a constant stream of announcements. I also brought my own headphones for the in-flight entertainment, because only cheap, crummy ones are provided, even in Comfort Plus, the same that are in Economy. There's also a headphone jack and a USB-A port in the IFE screen, so charging my phone was never a problem. And about the entertainment, it worked pretty well when there weren't announcements in progress. I put on some Brazilian music, got ready, and looked at our flight map on our flight here, which does not show avoiding Venezuelan airspace. I wonder, since US flights have been banned over Venezuelan airspace, it doesn't know? I wonder why. Perhaps my favorite feature of Delta's in-flight entertainment, and why I think it's the top of the game nowadays, is the in-flight heads-up display screen you can put on, and see exactly what the pilots see. As a pilot in training, I am very familiar with these screens, and feel very comfortable with them. It's also always fun entertainment to see these. But soon, it was time for my favorite part of any flight, the meal service. Given that our flight departed at 23:45 local time, I wasn't even sure if there'd be a meal service, but I put out my tray table, put on some 90s hit music, and got ready for whatever was coming. Given how bad my food was on my previous flight to Brazil with Delta, I didn't expect much. Plus, I also ate in the lounge, knowing that. And isn't this nice? The tray table has this little piece to keep it from rattling about in long flights, which is always a helpful feature. But soon they brought around a bottle of water and silverware wrapped up in there. Why the water's not in a cup, don't ask me. But soon, we overflew Colombia. That's the city of Bogota below us. Colombia is definitely on my list of places to visit someday, and I will definitely be back to South America as soon as I can. Pretty soon, however, the meal arrived. I had chosen the chicken dish, which came with a side of rice pilaf, which was bland and needed salt, but it was definitely better than the pasta on my previous flight to Brazil, which was practically inedible. However, perhaps more important is the taste test. In the end, it really wasn't as bad, except for needing salt like I mentioned. It also came with this dessert cake, which was pretty good, although I'm not fully sure what it was that I was eating, but isn't that true on most flights? But pretty soon I leaned back my seat in Comfort Plus, which had a lot more leg room and recline, which was a nice feature of Comfort Plus over Standard Economy, and I got comfortable as we flew toward Atlanta. I woke up only 5 minutes before, and sorry again about no landing footage as my neighbor was still asleep. Now, it's morning time in Atlanta. I have a long layover here, almost 7 hours, but you definitely won't want to miss the next video in this series, as I'll be flying back up from Atlanta to Grand Rapids, Michigan, on board Delta Airlines again. However, I'll be sitting in the front of the plane in seat 1A in Delta First Class. You definitely won't want to miss that, so make sure you subscribe, turn on the notifications to all, and leave a comment if you liked this video in this series from Brazil. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. That's going to do it for this one. As always, I'll be wishing you blue skies and tailwinds.